Hi everyone. So if we want to use eBay API, the first thing we would require is we need a OAuth token from eBay. And in this process, we require two tokens. One is called application token and one is called user access tokens. So let's see each of them one by one. And let's first go to eBay developers. So I have already logged into eBay. This is my developer page. Let me first show you these three things. One is called application key set. You can see it in the very top right side. If you can see my mouse pointer. First thing is application key set. Second is user access token. Third is alerts notifications. So these three things, let me show you one by one. First, let's go to application key sets. So this is my application keys page. I have two sets of application credentials. One is sandbox environment, one is for production environment. So for in some connections, I have found that sandbox credential may not work properly in some of the APIs. And in recently, I was facing challenge with my sandbox user as well. So I'm going to use only the production credentials for this video. And this is the name of my application that I have given to it. And these three sets of credentials that I have received, one is called app ID or client ID, second is dev ID, and third one is the set ID or client secret. So we need to remember these names, these columns name like app ID, because we are going to use them in our application. So we have this OAuth scopes as well at the bottom. And we will come to them later. So after application keysets, we have user access tokens. So let's go through this stage. This is my user token page. This is the name of my application. And this is the environment I have chosen. Here you can find your app ID or client ID. So let's go to get a token from eBay via your application. So currently it is saying that you have no redirect URLs. Click here to add one. So this is selecting, click here. So this is how a redirect URL page will look like. RU name, which is eBay redirect URL name. And what is the RU name? Whatever is written here. In my case, it is Rahul_Pandey. So this will be my RU name. And it will be required by when the user will sign in. Like for creating a sign-in page, we will require a redirect URL name as a query parameter. So this name correct is actually not correct. This RU name is not correct. I have changed very many credentials for security purpose. So here it is a sign-in page for auth, and you can see that RU name is mentioned here. In OAuth sign-in page, we can see that redirect URL is mentioned here. Okay, so what is the difference between auth and OAuth? So when we are developing application for a single user, for example, if you are developing an application for a seller who want to list their list products on eBay with the help of API, then we use auth sign-in. And for traditional APIs, also the auth sign-in mode is used. But we'll prefer mostly OAuth mode of sign-in, which is this URL. Okay, we'll come to the specification later, like what are these points. Okay, then this is the display title. If you see the right part here, it is a preview page of our user consent page. So we can see the display title here, like we have this variable. So if I mention any name here, Let's say I mention R2D2, then R2D2 is mentioned in every other wherever the display title was mentioned. Okay. Then we have privacy URL. We can keep it blank for now. Then we have auth accepted URL and then auth declined URL. And we need to keep in mind that all the URL must be secured, which means that they all should be HTTPS only. Okay, so we can keep these URLs blank for now, because if I zoom a bit once again, it is saying that if you leave these fields blank, the eBay default accept and reject pages will be used. So what are the default accept page? This is the default accept page saying thank you, authorization successfully completed. You can save the browser. The reject page will be this, thank you, authorization cancelled. You can close the window. Okay, so we'll leave these fields blank. Then we have about this page as well. Okay, I have entered some long URL, but we can keep it blank for now. So I think this part is also covered. Next is alert and notification. So let me go there. So this is alert and notification page. There's not much many thing in this page. All I want to show is the setting that I have made, after which I got the production keys. So this is the select setting I have done. I selected marketplace account deletion, and then I selected exempted from marketplace account deletion. And the reason for exemption is I don't want processed eBay data. So when I made these settings, after that only I got the production level API keys. Okay. Then we have last thing to discuss, that is OAuth scope. And OAuth scope are like the kind of authorization that user will give us. So if we use under the scope section, if we mention this one, which means the user will the application will view the public data from eBay, and user will be able to view the public data from eBay in our application. There is another very popular API that we use, that is inventory. So if a seller want to see their inventory, then we need to mention, it is mandatory to mention this scope. And if the seller want to add more product in their inventory, then we need to use this scope. See, it is saying view and manage your inventory and offers. So inventory and offer are two things that come together, and for that we use this scope. So we will have this scope or parameter when we make a request, and that time we need to mention these scopes according to our requirement. Okay, and this is for full order fulfillment. Okay, sell finances. There's so many things, and they will check them once we will require them. So one thing I forgot to mention is to show the test sign-in part. So we have set up our redirect URL name. We got the application credentials as well. So let's just test our sign-in page. So I have when we actually sign in eBay, so there is a regular sign-in page will come up, like login with email ID, login with Google, or login with Facebook. So I have already logged in with Facebook. That's why the login page has not come. But now I have to grant the application. We have to authorize application for these permissions. The application is asking for these permissions. I need to authorize them. As a user, I will, this is not my developer account. This will be a separate user. Okay. A regular eBay user login will do the login, and they will need to provide us the permissions. And where the permissions are coming from, where these permissions will come from. These permissions will come from the scope. Like what in this is the sign-in page actually. This page will be the sign-in page, and you can see the client ID is here, and the response type is equal to port, redirect URI is equal to this, scope is equal to this. So from here till bottom here, everything each you can see that they are all are like URL kind of, they all are like a URL. So these are all actually OAuth scopes. Okay, so every scope defines the permissions that we can see here. Okay, so whenever we will develop an application, we will define that is why we need to define the scopes. So um, if we had only this scope, the first scope, right? This https ebay api.ebay.com/oauth/API scope. So when the API scope, what it does the view public data from eBay. So if you only use this URL only in this scope, then only one permission will come, that is this. So for different permissions, we will require a different scope as well. And if a user will agree to this, then our app will be able to use it. But I do not want to create multiple fake accounts in eBay, so I'll click not now, and it will redirect us to decline URL. Remember the decline URL, like the auth declined URL will be this reject page. The reject page is like, so we have been redirected to the decline page, and it is saying that authorization is cancelled. You can close the browser. Okay. So currently I'm just declining. However, it was just showing you the sign and the authentication and the authorization back. Okay. So next step will be the coding part. So I have created a config.json file. This is a JSON file where I will keep all my credentials saved here, like client ID, client secret, RU name, and dev ID. If there are any other credentials, then we will also save the same here as well. So and then we will be able to use it while we do the coding. Okay. Okay. So in order to get the user access token, we need to follow two steps. First is to get the user consent. In this step, we will create a custom login URL, which will be specific to our application. Through this URL, the user will log in to the eBay account, and they will grant us the permission. If they grant us the permission, eBay will provide us an application token. It is also called as an authorization code as well. So in the second step, we will exchange this authorization code for user access token. And once we receive this user access token, we should also keep a record of them, because sometimes we need to revoke, and for some other purposes as well, we need to keep a record of those tokens. Okay, so let's see how we can do this. First is getting user consent eBay. So we are here in this page. So the redirect URL will have two parts. One is target endpoint and one is HTTP query parameter. So I'm going to use the production endpoint, and then let me copy it in the code. So I have a variable called production login endpoint. So here I have stored it. I have already loaded my config.json file, and I have all the credentials in the form of dictionary. So that I can use it whenever it is required. So let's see what are the next step. The HTTP query parameters. So query parameters are like client ID, locale, prompt, redirect URI, response type, scope, state. These all are here, and we can get the generic template for the URL here. And now we will change it according to our credentials. So I like to create a variable part in URL. Let me roughly paste it here. I'm creating an f string. And this is a sandbox URL, so I'm changing it to production URL. Production login endpoint. So let's see what variable do we need to have. One is client ID. The one is local, but it is optional, so we can remove it. Prompt is equal to login, but it is optional, so we'll remove it. Redirect URI, we use it. And response type is equal to port. So this is the port, this is the authorization code we want. Like in this step, we are telling eBay that we want authorization code. Okay. Into that step is a scope. So and create a variable for a scope, and the whole list will come. This will be URL encoded a string of the space separated scopes. Remember, if there are more than one scope, they all will be separated by a single space only. It will not be a Python list, or it will not be a JSON, array, or or dictionary, or JSON itself. So it will not be anything else. It will be a simple string, and all the scopes will be space separated only, and only there will be single space. Okay. So third, last one is the state, which is a custom state value. We can use it, but it's optional. So I'm removing it. There is no need for last and again. So these are the variables we would require. Okay, so I have mentioned my client ID and redirect URI here. Now let's mention the scopes. So where we can get the scopes. We will go to our user token page. In the developer, there is a user access token. Visit the page. Here we have OAuth scopes here. Click on it. Here is a whole list of scopes that we can use in our application. So the first one is for viewing the public data from eBay. It is a simple one. We can use this. And as of now, we'll use a single scope just in order to test our URL, whether it is working, the URL is created correctly or not. So now let's add all the variables properly. The client ID will become client underscore ID in our variable. Redirect underscore URI, that will become redirect underscore URI, and response type will be port, and scope list will be voice list, and scope is equal to a scope. This goes the half string here. Now let's remove the new line characters. Okay, so let's check this. F string is created, production login URL and question mark client ID is equal to client ID, and redirect URI is equal to the redirect URI, and response type is equal to code, and scope is equal to scope. So I think it is correct for it. Now let's print URL just to check it. Yeah, let's run. So this is the URL is created. Let me copy it. Going to incognito mode. This should ask us to provide. See, this is the name of our this is the display name that we have given earlier. Okay. Now this is asking only single permission because we have added only one scope in our app. Okay. So currently, so it means that our URL is working properly. So let me not provide it any permission currently. Let's see what happened. It is redirected to our decline URL page. Okay. So let's add more URL. So like it proves that our URL is working correctly. Now let's add more URLs. We'll go to all the scopes. We will just use one by one. Let's use about 2-3 scopes. Go here. Paste it. And this is the third scope I'm using. Okay. Be the single spacing each of the 3 scopes. Now let me print the URL. Okay, so the problem will be here is like because I'm using it in the PowerShell, so maybe it will throw some error because of ampersand is being used. So let me try it on the command prompt. Of course, CLD. The name of the file is consented file. So variance file consent.ql. So now this is the URL that gets created. It is copied. Now let's check that. So now we should have a three, there should be 3 items under the permission heading. Yes. So now we have these 3 permissions here. View public data from eBay, campaigns and listing promotion. Like this is the marketing activity. Third one is to call also for marketing activity, like campaign and listing. Okay, this is the second one is for read only, and I think and third one is to managing the. Let's check what our scopes we have used. Okay, so yeah, this one is this marketing one, but this is a read only, so it will only view our eBay marketing activities. And third one is the marketing also, but it will view as well as manage. So yeah, these 3 are working correctly. So it means like we are able to create a proper URL. Okay, so in the next step, what we'll do is we will ask for the authorization code. So if we copy this URL and actually log in into eBay as a user, and if we grant permission to eBay application, then we will receive an authorization. We should receive an authorization code, and we can find the authorization code in the URL parameters. So where we can find it, I have copied the URL and I paste it here. So let me see what eBay documentation it has to say on it. Getting user consent, eBay. So it is saying that the consent request, we have created this properly. Now the grant page has been shown up and the grant has been given. Now the URL should come something like this. And in this URL, there should be a parameter called code is equal to this. So now we need to find out this parameter called code. And this another parameter called expires in what the documentation has to say about it. In addition to the code value, the response URL also contains an associated expires in value that defines the number of seconds the authorization code is valid. It means once we receive this authorization code, we should use it within 5 minutes, otherwise it will expire. Okay. So let's see how the code parameter looks like. So I have copied it here. eBay sign in third party or successful is equal to true and code is equal to this. So this is the part which is code is equal to this. And then we have this and para and expires in 299. So let me remove it as well. So this is our authorization code actually. So now you can see that like there are so many URL encoded letters. So I can say like this percent e r, like this is pretty much a URL encoded authorization code. So if we want to use it in our application, we need to uncode it. We need to convert it back into the string. So for that we will do import, or not import, from URL lib are using the dot bar encode uncode. Okay. So if we uncode the code, let me print the code. Okay. So print uncode version of the code. Okay. So let me run it again. When Python finding terminal, now it is asking enter the code. So let me paste it there. So now this is the authorization code we have finally generated, and how it looks like. Let me bring it here. So this is the code that we have just created, just received from eBay. So in the second step, what was the second step? Second step to exchange the authorization code for user access token. So now we will code for the second part. We will pass this code and we will get the user access token. So let me go to Google first. It should be here itself, like exchanging the authorization code for the user access token. Yeah. So this is the page. So now what it is saying, how we have to configure the request. There should be another target endpoint, request header and request payload is here. So now what our target endpoint will be, should be a post request, okay? And we use the production endpoint. And for what it is? It is for exchanging the user access token, okay? Let me first store it in a variable. Code is equal to unport one. Okay. So now that the endpoint exchange endpoint. Speculative post shipper. So just to remember, yeah, exchange endpoint. Now about the other things, configuring the request headers. So request header will have content type which must be set to X application X. Developer form were encoded, and then authorization should be the word basic the word basic followed by base 64 encoded OAuth credential, and which will be client ID subject client secret. So we'll copy this format, just roughly copy it and paste it here. We'll say this is client ID client secret. So let's call a variable CI, which is client ID underscore client secret string. Okay. So we'll improve it later, and configuring the request payload, which the grant type will be authorization code. The redirect URI is the RU name as per our application. Set the port to URL encoded authorization port. The port that we have just received from the when the user has authenticated us, the user has authorized us. So the port that we have received will take it from the URL. Okay. So this is a rough version how it looks like. The method will be post, endpoint will be this, headers will be this, and request body will be has 3 parameters in it. The current will look like this. Okay. Okay, now let's create a request. So for that we need to import requests. I mean, let's import requests. And to know, okay, so headers. Let's define headers as a to. What are the parameters in the header? Content type and authorization. So it is pretty much JSON like, so we need to do this and give equal to sign and change it into this. The application extra user encoder. Okay. The authorization will be a word of basic followed by base 64 encoded credentials. Okay. So what we need to do is we need to do client ID such that client secret. So we have client ID and client secret from our credentials. So we have client ID and we will also the client secret. Guarantee. Passes a guarantee. So our string will be variable client ID. This will be a variable stored inside the curly braces. Then semicolon, this colon will be a string only. So we'll leave it as is. And then will be to client secret. So client secret we have in the form of variable. What was now? I'll take this name. So now we have this string. So the thing is we need to convert this string into base 64 encoded. So base 64 will take a bytes, not a string. So we need to convert into byte form. So let's say encoded underscore CI underscore CS. It should be COCS dot encode. Now it has been converted into bytes. Now convert into a base 64 encoded variable. So let's call this. It will be base 64. Sorry, I think I have not imported base. Import here. So there's 64 dot 364 encode, boom 64 encode, encoded symbols. Okay. Now, under the authorization header, we would need to pass string only. So we would need to decode it back. Okay. So let's decode it as well. So authorization will be a string. It should be a basic word basic followed by base 64 encoded CICS, which has also been decoded. So I think our header should be correct. We'll check. And our header is coming here. Expression cannot be assignment type. Okay. Wait, this should be semicolon. This should be colon, like in the JSON format, kind of. Not exactly JSON, but it should be like colon here. Okay, so next thing is request about it. Okay, so what they're calling it is -d, which should be data. So data is equal to grant type colon this. Okay, let's copy one of them here. And redirect URL. Okay, let me write correctly all of them. The grant type even authorization for only, so there will not be any change. Comma all these authorization for regular. This is what we will receive from the from here, from the user input. So it will be code only, and then redirect URI will be our variable redirect URI. Okay. So now we have headers, we have data. Now we can do the post. We can run the request. So we've called this file as equal to request read to request dot post. Okay. Our endpoint was exchange endpoint. Exchange endpoint and header is equal to headers, comma data is equal to data. It is equal to data. Okay. Let me check again. Let's check data only. Yeah, and these are -h, which means it is header, and this is -d, so it should be data. Okay, this is the response. So I think we are okay. We're all good. Let's print this parse dot JSON. Print this parse dot JSON. So I hope everything is correct. Let's run it. So this is the URL generated. Let me copy it. We sign in. Let we authorize as a eBay user. Authorization successfully completed. So let me copy the URL. That can go to MS code. I grab the code value from here. And we have an input training going on, so let's paste value here. How about this thing? Invalid request error description. Request is missing a required parameter or email found. But yeah, it was my find. Because these are also be a string. The code is a variable, the data is a variable, but the keys are after being the string class. Let me run from the command prompt. Python instance.py. I have got the URL. So authorization has been successfully completed. Let me copy the authorization code from here. And port is equal to this place, and expires is equal to this. So I have pasted the response.json output in the MS Word file, and it has parameters like access token. Access token, if you see, actually access token is actually a very long string, and it is around 20 or 30 line long string. So I have trimmed it, and it is also a very confidential token. So that is also the reason uh, removed many lines out of it. So it usually starts with V 1.1. I think it is saying that it is a API version is version 1.1, and it mostly end with a equal to sign or equal to sign. Not just access token, but authorization could also start with V 1.1 and ends with the equal to sign, and refresh token also start with P 1.1 and ends with equal sign. Okay, so then we have expires in, so it is like 2 hours because 1 hour has 3600 seconds. The refresh token expires in this many seconds. It is like 1.5 years, and the token type is user access token. So it means like we have successfully received the access token, the user access token we have received successfully, which we will use when we will use any eBay API. So I think that's all for this video. Thank you for taking your time.